Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Flynn, and I'm here with
Scott Lang.
And we are the Band Dads. Here to bring you a podcast about something that we care very dearly about, which is music education and band.
Some of you are here because you want to learn about all things band. Some of you are here because you want to see a train wreck. And the answer is yes to both of those. We don't care why you're here. We're going to answer all the questions. We're going to say the things you're thinking. We're going to debunk all the myths.
Yep. This is the Band Dads Podcast.
The podcast by and for confused band parents.
Nice. You said the tagline. So how do we open this one? How do we break the ice on this?
Well, here's how we do it. And I think I've asked you this before. So are you a fan of Low?
Again, I respect the man. I can't say that I'm a huge fan of the music.
Okay, so for those who don't know, a Fanalo is someone who's a fan of Barry Manilow, hence the term Fanalo. So you're going to need to do a little Fanalo magic. You're going to have to be a Fanalo for just a little bit, because here's what I need you to do, Chris. I need you to do your special magic, and I need you to edit two songs. Two songs. Not in their entirety by any stretch of definition.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not going to get us. I don't want to get this episode.
So I need you to drop in "This One's for You" wherever you are.
Okay.
So I'm sure Chris is dropping that in as we speak. And the second and maybe more important song that we need you to drop in, Chris, we need you to drop in what is Barry Manilow's number one hit? Do you know? Not Copacabana, other than Copacabana.
So that really, I don't have a lot of oh my God, I can't even say his name. I don't have a lot of Barry Manilow references outside of references that you've already made on our show. And then one other time, even though you claim to be a fan of Low, you were in Vegas and didn't even bother to go see him.
It was sold out that night. To my credit, it was sold out that night. I looked.
But the song that you made reference to in that episode was Mandy.
That is the second song. And you know why you have to cue in "This One's for You" wherever you are, and Mandy, Chris?
I don't know. I think we have a listener named Mandy, maybe?
That's exactly correct. Mandy, this one is for you wherever you are. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Mandy, it started early on, and you've probably listened to us at the Christmas episode where she joined us for a few brief seconds, or you've joined us earlier in which we wondered if our listener in Dubai was an actual bot until one day we got a note from her.
That's right. If you haven't listened to the end of season 2, we did a Greatest Hits Volume 1 of the Band Dads, which covered our first calendar year of the Band Dads podcast, season 1 and 2. And Mandy made a guest appearance. I was able to get her to record a little bit for us. So not only can we confirm she's real, now you've all heard her voice. So
but this one you have to understand is I will tell you, I've known Chris for a little over a year right now. And he says the birth of his children was the happiest day of his life. But I think it was the day Mandy contacted us and said she was real.
Only because you made a reference to my children, I can't agree with that. But other than that, it was definitely one of those moments. Like I said, I think I described it on the episode when we found out. I said, it's like I found out Santa Claus wasn't real, and then he walked into my living room.
Mandy, you're now Santa Claus. Folks, my name is Scott Lang, and he's
Chris Flynn.
And we're the Band Dads. We promised Mandy, and we promised you all, an episode of Band Around the World.
Band Around the World. Music
and so this is the episode Band Around the World, in which we explore this culture, this band culture, as it exists in other cultures. But before we start that, Chris, I want to start with this, which is, did you know that music superseded the human language?
I guess not formally, but that kind of makes sense, like in terms of a communication.
That's correct. Music superseded. It is the oldest communication form in the history of the world, and we have Sanskrit writings and we have writings on walls which indicate that we were singing before we were speaking. And here's the other thing. You probably don't know this, and this is really mercurial, useless information, so just get ready for this sucker.
Okay.
There's only been two ways to write down and document music in the history of the world.
Okay.
One was Gregorian chant. And it's something that even someone as not as smart as you could figure out, that if the arrow went up, the pitch went up. If the arrow went down, the pitch went down.
I like
and
that.
If there were lots of little scribblies, it went really fast.
Okay.
And if there were just straight lines, it went really, really slow. And I'm not kidding when I tell you, I still think that makes more sense to me than the way we document music.
I'm following what you're saying. I kind of like it, actually, yeah.
It was done by the Gregorian monks, and it was done in like 3 BC or whatever it was. And if anybody fact checks me, you're a sad, pathetic
3 BC,
person.
folks.
Yeah, 3
Let us
BC.
know if that's accurate.
It's not. So when they developed the music notation system that we use today, which is quarter notes, half notes, rhythms, key signatures, that music has remained unchanged as a communication tool for 1,000 years.
That's an interesting fact. I mean, to your point, I don't know how long music has existed, but certainly I can think of classical music being written in the same exact way I see my kids playing music today. How has it not changed? I mean, why? Is it just that foolproof of a system?
No, I think it's honest to God. I think it's just so broke. Nobody wants to fix it.
Ooh,
I mean, I don't know that we could make communicating speed, pitch, intensity, volume more complicated than we do. But what's really interesting, this is interesting to me. I don't know if it's interesting to anyone else. It's the only universal language across the world.
Yeah. Okay.
That if you're
That's
in Chechnya, you read music the way you do in America. If you're in South America, you read music the way you do in America. If you're in America, you read music the way you do in America.
Yeah.
Not only is it the longest standing form of communication, but it's been unchanged for 1,000 years and is universal. It is the only language in which you can travel the world and we all read and speak it the same way.
That's a really profound way to look at it, for sure.
I know, and still yet we treat it as an afterthought. It's the single unifying characteristic in the entire world, other than we all breathe and eat Doritos. I swear, it is the only unifying characteristic in the entire world.
Yep.
And yet we treat it as something adjunct. It's almost as if we're just waiting for it to be a fad and go away. Well, it's been 2,000 years, Chris.
No, that's a good point. So when you talk about, it's an afterthought, again, I can think about the way that music is approached educationally for my kids and in my school system and the way I grew up. So, I mean, I have relationships to the United States and how it's done. And I think often we feel like maybe it's not good enough. And we've talked about a million reasons on this podcast why we feel like it's not good enough. And it's not funded well enough and all that stuff. So the question is, do we struggle just here at home? Like, is this a problem they've solved in different places around the world? Do they even have formal music education? Like, what does it look like?
Well, first of all, you have to look at music education in America, which is a holy hot freaking mess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that we could make this any more difficult than we actually do.
Okay.
I mean, because you think about it, you're from Boston, and in Boston, and
I'm not going to say back the car because that's just what everybody wants.
You're from Boston, and the fact is, like, if you transfer from here in the third grade, English would look the same.
Right.
History would look the same. If you're a sophomore in high school, geometry would look the same. But music isn't even universal across our country from state to state or region to region or territory. It's not even the same district to district. If I were to drive 5 miles, they start and treat music very differently than they do in our home district. And for the listener, you think about that. Is there any other curricula in which we treat it in such a discombobulated, anti-centralized, non-uniform way?
Right. And we're talking about, as you just mentioned, the oldest and most universal language in the world, and we can't do that consistently.
No, and because in America, we still almost treat it like it's a fad. 6, 7.
No, that was we're past 6, 7. Oh yeah, no, it's been retired. No. We're gonna. Our parents don't even want to hear 6, 7 anymore. We should have let it die with Tony on the greatest hits. That was the last 6, 7 that we did.
So. The point is, like, something that's universal since the beginning of time, something that's universal as a language across all territories. You would think that would be anything but adjunct or extracurricular. You think that would be fundamental as a communication tool to everything that we do, but it's not.
Yeah.
Now, okay. So we've established it's a holy hot mess, and it is a holy hot mess.
Right.
And like many things in America, that it is a holy hot mess. But like many things that are a holy hot mess in America, it still is probably the best in the world.
The best version of it?
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
So most people don't realize there is only one country in the world in which music is embedded in the school system. And it's America.
No kidding.
And if you were, if you're about American exceptionalism and you have, 17 flags off your F-150 and, you only wear the colors red, white, and blue, then the one thing you should be championing is music in the schools. Because it not only is the only country in the world that infuses music into the schools. So even if we do it badly, which we've established we
apparently do.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We still do it better than anyone else on the planet.
Oof.
So we do it less badly than everyone else on the planet.
It's not much of an endorsement, but okay.
Mandy, I hope you're still with us.
Yeah, we're getting to Dubai at some point.
So we need to get to Dubai.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So when we talk about music education, we're talking about an Americanized version of music education.
So even like somebody like our neighbors up north in Canada, they don't. It's not like
it's a little more. Well, I would say everything in Canada is like its relationship to music education is the same relationship to everything else. In other words, do they drive on the same street as we do, side the street? Yeah. Okay. Do they speak the same language? Yeah. But is it a fundamentally different type of government? Yeah. Do they read the same music? Yeah. Do they press the B flat button the same way? Yeah. But is it infused 5 days a week into a curriculum? No,
Gotcha.
Not really.
Okay.
Canada's kind of what I would call it's probably true politically as it is musically. It's the middle ground between what we do in America and the rest of the world.
Okay, fair enough.
So the rest of the world, it is completely removed from the school setting.
It's like extracurricular.
It's completely extracurricular.
No kidding.
In fact, for some, it's not even, you have to take the word curricular out of it because it's communal based. It has nothing to do with the schools at all.
Gotcha.
Like you can completely remove the thought of a school.
Really?
And so a lot of it is like, it just depends on where you're from. So the experience you get with an instrument is largely dictated by where you're born.
Okay.
So since you were born in Boston, you got a horrible education because...
Hey, calm down. What do you think all those taxes go that we pay up there, huh?
That is true. Way better funded education system.
Yeah.
But if you were born in England, you get a very different music education. If you were born in Japan, you get a very different music education born in Bolivia. If you were born in Bolivia, you get a very different music education if you were born in Australia. It's where they read music backwards. No, that's not true.
I just say, really? I thought
like,
about it for a second. You should have left it there because I probably would have believed it. I might have hung on for a minute and be like, really?
Because doesn't like when you flush the toilet, the water goes.
The hemisphere thing.
Yeah. So in Australia, it's they read it backwards, and I'm sure the 7 listeners in Australia are going to correct us.
You're right. I think even to your point, I think they've even heard there's machines that force the water to go the other way to make Americans feel at home.
Really?
Anyway, I don't know, but that's from a Simpsons episode, so that's probably not real anyway. But
okay,
But so the question but music has existed in all those places because, as we talked about, music is the oldest universal language. So all of these societies have had music their entire, length of existence. So why is music not important to them in the same way that we feel it is here, that it's not?
So I think there's a really good distinction. It's not that music isn't important.
Okay.
It's that band isn't important.
Oh,
that's a very different thing.
See.
I was talking to Chris a little bit about this before we kicked on, and this is going to be just way more. If you haven't put it on 1.75 speed playback right now would be a good time to do that, because I am going to just lay some knowledge on you that is absolutely arcane and useless. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So prior to about the 1880s, that all brass players had what were called crooks.
Okay.
And so think of it as a bugle. A bugle has no buttons.
Right.
So that's all a brass instrument could play was 1, 3, 5, 3, 1. That's all it could do.
Gotcha.
So if we're doing a piece by Mahler and it was in the key of D, I got out my D tuning slide, I crammed it in my trumpet, and I could play 1, 3, 5, 3, 1. And then if it modulated to E flat, I got out my E flat. So brass players walked around with 12 different tuning slides.
That's crazy. Okay.
And they could only play 4 notes, open partials.
Gotcha.
Are you bored yet?
No, I think I'm hanging on.
Okay. When they invented valves, so you think of the modern trumpet player where you press a button, where now a trumpet can play 12 notes across 4 octaves. That opened up an entire world of possibility where band instruments we'd associate with band, which is flute, clarinet, trumpet, saxophone was a little bit later. It was in the late 1800s. Okay. Trombone and tuba. Baritone was a little bit later and I think in the 1910s or whatever.
Okay.
The point being, like, once you said to a composer, the entire world is open to all brass instruments.
Okay. Interesting.
Now think about this. And orchestra parents, please don't be mad, but it's the Band Dad podcast, so you're probably not listening. But if you think about, here's why composers, and Vaughan Williams was the first composer to lean, seriously, if you have not gone to 1.75 speed by now, you've just got to, I'd go to 2.0.
This is that mercurial knowledge you were talking about.
But this is important. This is important. I'm going to let this may blow your mind a little bit, is that a string instrument is a string instrument is a string instrument. It's the same sound. It just comes in 4 different sizes.
Really?
Sure. Violin, viola, cello, bass. It's still a wood instrument with strings.
Okay.
What wind instruments bring are tonal colors. That something played with a trumpet player with gusto and force will resonate in a way that 100 strings never could.
Yeah.
And to the credit of the strings, that they can play pianissimo and with sostenuto in a way that a wind instrument never could, because the person has to breathe.
Yeah.
So if you're a composer, all of a sudden there's a whole new world of colors. Not just I have a trumpet, I have a clarinet, I have a saxophone. but what does a saxophone and a French horn sound like together versus a clarinet and a saxophone?
So with your mercurial knowledge, and I do like to insert little kind of nuggets from our show every now and then. Is there a particular work of music that you can point to that maybe was kind of one of the first compositions that included?
Oh, you are so good. I didn't know you were going to ask that, but that's a great question.
Thanks. I could always throw it in. We could get that as an example.
People will credit Holst with, I'm Vaughan Williams and Holst with the early works of the Planets and with Folk Song Suite and English country garden songs, I believe English country gardens.
Okay.
But the seminal work I would point to in terms of expressing tonal colors and the capabilities of a wind band was Percy Granger's Irish tune from, Percy Granger's Lincolnshire Posy. It's considered by many the single greatest work ever written for wind band.
Oh, wow.
So again, Percy Granger,
okay,
who, man, you want to talk about a weird dude.
Oh, yeah?
I'm talking in love with his mother type weird. It was, a little bit weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But Lincolnshire Posy, what he did, he took a wax record recorder and he trekked into the wilderness of England and he recorded indigenous people. And I don't mean, let's say, people of color. I mean, people who lived in the hills of England.
Right.
And said,
native to the earth.
Sing me your songs. Now, if they sang out of tune, he didn't fix it. He wrote the piece out of tune. If they sang and it wasn't straight 4/4, they cut time off, he wrote it in 7/8.
Interesting.
But if you ever get a chance, folks, and you want to hear the seminal and really the first seminal work ever written for wind band, it's Percy Aldridge Granger, Lincolnshire Posy.
I think you may have just come up with maybe a spin-off that we can start doing. Maybe we can do like special episodes on some of these famous music historians who have weird twists to them.
He has
like
even weird. So my favorite Percy Aldridge Granger, and to tell you how much I love Percy Aldridge Granger, I named my first dog after him.
No, okay.
Yeah, my first dog was named Granger.
There you go.
So I'm a big Percy Aldridge Granger fan. Children's March is my personal favorite.
Okay.
But he has a tune called The Walking Song, in which he would get on a highway and he would walk right down the median and compose in his head while cars went by him at 75 miles an hour.
Insane, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was a different dude. He was especially different dude.
I think we have a spin-off that we're going to start doing. Anyway, go ahead.
What he did that expanded the world of what tonalities were possible changed music forever. And so when I say that music isn't important, no, band in the spectrum of time started happening like last week.
Gotcha.
It's that new. And
That's
you're talking 1900
gotcha.
versus the beginning of time.
Gotcha.
So different cultures with different instruments made of different materials that were available to them, representing different indigenous songs and histories and languages, have been incredibly important to their cultures. But band is unique to America. That even the instruments we play are unique to America. And certainly marching band is a world that most of the world looks at and laughs, as they probably should.
So when I think of marching band, I guess I could even think back to, I don't know, I think it's back to things like the Revolutionary War, right? I mean, I'm thinking of like soldiers marching, playing flutes and drums.
What a great point. But here's
the foundation of something like that.
Here's the thing. And all band is rooted in the military. But what people didn't realize, do you know why it was flutes and drums and fife?
Not exactly, no.
They're the instruments you can hear from the furthest away.
No kidding. Okay.
So if I wanted you to put your rifles up, I had a fife call for that.
Okay.
If I wanted you to put them down, I had a drum call for that.
There you go.
If I wanted you to march forward, I had a drum call.
There's an operational reason
why.
It was
100% operational.
Gotcha.
And then it evolved into a military type band where it involved a sense of patriotism. And again, set to fast forward 175, John Philip Sousa and the occurrence of wind band as we now know it occurred at the same time. Gotcha. So John Philip Sousa came around in the late 1880s. I just saw his original sousaphone that he built.
No kidding.
But what was interesting is John Philip Sousa, ubiquitously known as the godfather of American band, fair point?
Yes.
Never made a penny off his music.
Yeah.
He was a military officer.
Yes.
He didn't make anything off Stars and Stripes forever.
John Philip Sousa led the Marine Band to new heights of popularity during his tenure as leader from 1880 to 1892. It was during this era that he earned the title the March King, a well-deserved nickname that continues to this day. Of the 136 marches he composed, one has stood out above all the rest. It was composed in 1896 as Sousa sailed back home from a long European vacation. The inspiration for this march was born of a combination of homesickness, fond memories of his time as leader of the Marine Band, and his stirring recollection of the American flag flying over the White House. The resulting march became his best-known work, and in 1987, it officially became our national march. The Stars and Stripes Forever.
Right.
He didn't make anything off the Washington Post March. He didn't make anything off White Easter Sunday on a White House lawn. So what he did is he got pissed. John Philip Sousa was never known to be a generous man.
Okay.
He got pissed. He quit the Marine Band and took all the best musicians and went on a private concert tour.
Right.
And he wrote opera music. And he made a bloody fortune touring the world with his marches in the first half and the operas he wrote in the second half.
No kidding.
But everything we know about John Philip Sousa, never made a penny off of.
Crazy.
The U.S. Marine Band owns the rights to all. Well, now it's public domain. But,
right, fair enough.
Okay, back. Boy,
we're supposed to be talking about music in other places around the world, aren't we?
Okay, so I thought it'd be fun, Chris, if you picked a part of the world.
Okay.
And Antarctica's ruled out because they don't have band, and the North Pole's ruled out. And, you pick a part of the world, and if I'm able to, I'll give you a snapshot into how it might look or feel different than it would in America.
So there are some places that I actually maybe would give some shout outs to. So we've given Mandy and we've given Dubai plenty of recognition on our podcast, but there's actually a couple other places that people do pick up pretty consistently and listen to the Band Dads podcast. So I might visit some of those areas. So
is Idaho one of them? That's a country, right?
Is it? I thought you were going to say Texas. Is Texas a country yet? Anyway,
it wants to be
for a while. So like, for instance, like I'll look at our stats right now and I'll tell you that one of the big places that we get listens is Japan, for example. What about Japan?
That's a great one. So I would challenge anyone right now, and you think your little Schmoopaloo's band is so good. Oh my goodness, my little Johnny can play the trumpet. He's so good. I love my little Johnny. Your little Johnny's in high school. I would challenge you, any one of you, Google right now, elementary school concert band in Japan. Okay. And I swear to God, they play better than most universities.
So they do have concert band in school in Japan?
No, not in the school.
Oh, okay.
So it's strictly after school and all day Saturday, 8 hours a day.
Interesting.
And they are hooked. They view music the way they view baseball.
Oh, wow.
It is insanely competitive. It is about winning. It is not about a good experience for my child. It is about winning. And they do indoor variations of drum corps and basketball courts. And Chris, I'm not kidding. We're talking about sixth graders that played a collegiate level, but they do the whole year, every day after school, 2 to 3 hours, all day Saturday, 8 hours. They practice on Sunday, and they do those 3 songs for a year.
Oh, wow.
So culturally, it's about perfection and mastery and competition.
Okay.
It's not experiential. I don't want to say it's not musical because they're incredibly musical, but it's musical that is, and I can't say I've never sat in a rehearsal, but appears to be taught by rote. Like, you will master these 81 measures until you can play them perfectly in your sleep, and you will only learn those 81 measures for an entire year.
Is it to master technique? Is that why it's taught that way? Do you know? Because it sounds like it's not like we've talked about. It's not useless curriculum per se. It's not treated that way.
You know, the thing is, I think it's the way I would perceive, never having been there, that the Japanese approach a lot of their cultural activities.
Okay.
Like a Zen garden is not just raking your sand.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's an all-day activity. Trimming your bonsai tree is not doing yard work.
Gotcha.
It's an art form.
Yeah.
So I think, again, I've not been there, and I would look forward to our listeners from Japan talking to us about that.
So again, we've heard from Japan. I'm sorry, we've heard from Mandy in Dubai. So Japan, we know you're out there. We know you're
doing okay so far.
We know there are listeners in Japan as well. I see you every single episode. We pick up people from Japan. So please, Japan, we'd like to hear from you.
So let's talk about Mandy in Dubai.
Okay.
So in these countries, and Mandy alluded to it in her email, in countries like that band, where it is not a cultural, in music itself, organized music is not something that is typically cultural to the Middle East.
Right.
And so individual music, small groups with sitars or whatnot, but full symphonies is not, it's not typical to that region. So what Mandy will tell you is where you find it are in the American schools.
Okay.
So near military bases, near major cities where lots of Americans work and they send their kids.
Okay.
So there's a whole series of schools abroad across the entire world that are Americanized in the way they structure music and everything else, geometry, math. They're American schools abroad. So Mandy will tell you she probably does general music during the school day, similar to an elementary school. And she has an after-school ensemble. But as she alluded to her in email, she has to explain to parents what a band
Right.
is.
The buy-in is a challenge for
They've
her.
never even seen a band.
Right.
They don't even know what a saxophone is, like why their child should play it, much less practice it, much less give up a night to come to a concert to play music that has no reference in their culture.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one. I'm not sure how you sell that, honestly.
I think Mandy wrote to us asking how to sell that.
So what's the answer, Scott? Solve it for her. Will you tell her what to do? No.
You know what? I think if I had to explain to Mandy, I think I would probably, if I'm in American school, try and draw on American references, whether it's YouTube, whether it's playing pop songs from American culture. I would try and draw on a shared language of whatever they're listening to.
Yeah.
Those kids are listening to.
Which is your point. And there may be other overlap even with things like, I'm trying to think of things culturally that may exist in different places that overlap here as well. Like the K-pop phenomenon that's happening right now. But I feel like there's a decent amount of Americanization in that area. Like I think Dubai just opened a Six Flags, for example.
Did they really?
I'm pretty sure with like the biggest and fastest, tallest roller coaster in the world.
It's got to be the biggest and fastest.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did Dubai. We did Japan. Pick another country where we have listeners.
Yeah. So another really, really strong presence, actually, maybe even the second strongest behind Mandy in Dubai. It's not Idaho. I don't know what your deal is with Idaho.
But it's like a foreign country, Idaho.
Why do you feel like, really?
I don't know.
Maybe you haven't spent a lot of time in Idaho. I'm not sure.
No, I have not spent a lot of time in Idaho.
How about Germany? Because I think people are familiar with Germany and maybe some history regarding Germany, but maybe not its music scene. But we have a ton of listeners in Germany.
So Germany, I'm just going to say a single word, which is beer.
Okay.
Like German music is loosely associated with beer halls.
I was gonna say, I think of like polka music.
Yeah, because you would go to a bar or as they call them in Germany, beer houses, beer gardens.
Okay, yeah.
And there would be a live band. It usually consists of a tuba. It usually consists of a drummer. It usually consists of
an instrument in there.
A variation of an accordion.
Okay, yeah.
And a clarinet.
Okay.
And so you have kind of that basic band instrumentation, but beyond the beer gardens where Germany takes that, and a lot of Europe takes it, it's a cultural activity. And so, first of all, Germany takes music as serious as Germany takes everything.
Okay.
They can be a very mercurial, dark type. Like if you listen to the music of Mozart in Austria, if you listen to the music of Holst and the music of English composers, you walk away singing the melody and humming the melody. You walk away from something by Schoenberg, you wonder if he was a serial killer.
Interesting.
German music is very dark. It's very aggressive. It's very rhythmic.
Okay.
And they take it very seriously. But the way they do it in Europe and when they're not in the beer halls is they have community bands and they compete.
Okay.
The Austin community band competes in the world, brass band. And they typically, by the way, are brass bands only brass.
Okay.
Competes against the, Leberhosen community concert band. And the winner moves on to the East Germany. So it's communal based. So you may have a 15-year-old playing with an 85-year-old.
Okay.
And it's about community pride. And the community comes out to that concert and they support it. And they pay their ticket because they want to travel and they want to compete and they want to beat. It's like music meets American football meets really dark, angry people.
Can we do an adjudication episode for that? Can you teach me how to be a judge for European communal brass bands?
I could. I don't know if I could make you that angry, but I could try.
It sounds interesting. That sounds like
there's entire sets of music written just for brass bands, and that is a very European thing. But brass bands are catching on in America. There's quite a few of them. There's 1-2 miles from here.
Okay. So is there any other, because I think I could throw out there a couple of examples of types of music that I think are uniquely American. But before we go back to that, is there any type of other music types or things that you really think stand out just in terms of being unique to?
Yeah, and it would have to be Argentina and South America and Bolivia. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
It's a program called El Sistema.
Okay.
And what they figured out, this has probably been about 20 years now, is they took community-based orchestras and they gave them to kids to learn to play instruments. These are kids who come from absolute abject poverty, living in the hills, who barely speak their own language. I mean, we're talking poverty so bad, they don't know where the snack before dinner is coming from.
Yikes, gotcha.
Handed them broken, crappy string instruments.
Yeah.
And what they found was almost immediately the impact on their academic performance, their attendance in school, their socialization skyrocketed, their sense of self-worth and self-value.
Sure, makes sense.
So the guy who created it, and his name will escape me, but there's a great 60 Minutes piece on this, said, wait a minute, this isn't just a symphony orchestra, this is a system.
Huh.
If we take this system and we take it to other impoverished areas and we give them instruments, we give them instruction, we give them performance. And before you know it, it's a national symphony, the El Sistema Symphony. It's all underprivileged kids who travel from all over the country to perform there.
I think I've heard of this. Now that you say that, I almost think I've maybe even seen the 60 Minutes piece you're talking about.
What comes to mind when you mention Venezuela? Hugo Chavez probably, or oil, or baseball. What probably does not come to mind is classical music. And yet, Venezuela is the home of a music program that's so extraordinary, it's been hailed as the future of classical music itself. It's called El Sistema, the system, and it's all about children, about saving them, hundreds of thousands of children, through music.
So it was led, he's the poster child, but he didn't create it by Gustav Dudamel, who was the national director. And it became, when the second most prestigious job in the world, the LA Philharmonic job, opened, they selected Gustav Dudamel. He brought El Sistema to America.
Okay.
And so now there are El Sistema chapters all across America. It is primarily strings, but then they open it up to winds as they get older for full symphony orchestras. But it's free instruction for kids in the most impoverished situations. And it's again, El Sistema, it's a national program funded by the government for achievement, self-esteem, and breaking the poverty cycle. If you've not seen anything on El Sistema, look it up. It is phenomenal.
I'll see if I can find the piece you're referring to, at least put it maybe in the episode description or a link to it or something. Because now that you're describing it, I'm like, there's all kinds of things that are light bulbs that are going off. Like, I'm pretty sure I remember this piece where, because it did talk about the band touring and it showed maybe some of the different places they've toured, but then it showed them back at home in their own country and like the situation they live in. And
it's staggering. Yeah. And so we looked at, we started in America and we said it's a hot mess, East Coast to West Coast, north to south, state to state, city to city.
Right.
Then we traveled to Japan, where we talked about it's largely a tool of self-discipline. And it's an act of dedication, not an artistic endeavor as so much. Then we traveled to Germany, where it's embedded socially and culturally as a part of community building. And then we traveled to South America, where it's seen as a reform tool to eradicate poverty. That's how different music is around.
That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, that's insane. But then again, to your point, I think about all the good things that we do here, because, so for example, I've said this, you've heard me say this on this podcast before. I mean, my daughter plays in jazz. I think jazz is pretty uniquely American, and that's my favorite style of music. So,
it's 100% American. It came from the French Creole who came to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And that they wanted the American culture of wind instruments combined with the French Creole culture that they came from. And it was completely cultural. It was food, it was language, but most importantly, what drove it was music. And that is by and large, other than maybe, I don't know, other than, modernism in art and, the guy who paints by just splattering stuff on canvas.
Jackson Pollock?
Yeah, Jackson Pollock. Mm-hmm. It's our only cultural contribution to the world.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's not an insult to America. It's saying we just came around the block so late that a lot of things have been invented. But I will tell you, it's, jazz is the one thing that is ubiquitous throughout the world that came from America. And yet, it's the one thing that we struggle most to get in our own public school systems.
Yeah, I mean, I think like taking credit for jazz is probably a little more glamorous than, let's say, over-sugared, brightly colored snacks that no one else in the world would dare eat but Americans. So there you go.
Yeah. So jazz, what's interesting about jazz, the reason it struggles to be in the American schools is because of its head count. So a fully baked out jazz ensemble runs you anywhere from 17 to 19 players. It's 5 saxophones, it's 5 trombones, it's 5 trumpets, it's a rhythm section.
Right.
You may have a guitarist, you may not. You may have 2 keyboard players or a viola player, you may not. But classes are funded at 25-1. And so it's a real struggle, to get 17 highly qualified, competent kids, because they got to be your best players.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
To get them to have a free period in the school day to register for jazz.
That's true, because it's on top of everything else.
And then you got to convince the administrator to fund a class at 17-1 versus 25-1, which means someone has to be carrying a course overload of 7 kids somewhere.
That's a good point. Yeah,
So-
that's a really good point.
That is, kind of a quick around. Did I miss any countries, or is there any country you want to talk about?
I don't know about a particular country, but as long as we're talking about like the format of how things are set up. So again, one of the concepts that we've talked about, especially early on in the podcast, pretty regularly, is kind of the safety and the setup of like a band room and like the structure of like how that's like its own community in itself. So would you say that that's something that exists elsewhere as well?
No, both the fact there is a band room and the real estate that we give it and the inventory that we stock it with is unique to just America. They don't even do that in Canada. That typically the band room is the largest English classroom that you can convince English teacher to clear out of after school, or you use the gymnasium or a cafetorium like you and I would see in an elementary school. But what they do have that we don't have are community band halls. Where they perform
That's
in
a good
parks.
point, yeah.
So community band hall's not the right term, but community band centers where they gather weekly and the band performs and people give money and those sorts of things. So they don't embed it in their schools, but they do embed it in their community.
I wonder if we would support it more. Like if we as adults were still more proactive in terms of our participation in music itself. I wonder if that would help fuel better music education for our kids too, better funding. So
there's a county in Missouri, and I don't want to give away, I probably shouldn't even said the state, but I was doing an event and it was in a very small, very rural, very impoverished town. And they said, we should have you back and work with our community band. I said, well, it's a plane ticket. And they said, oh, just don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. I'm like, well, I mean, planes are, I know it's a struggle. They go, it's fine. And I said, what? And she said, there was a law enacted in 1849 that a tenth of every cent went to a community band.
That's incredible.
They never repealed it.
That's incredible.
To this day, 170 years later, and it generates over $100,000 annually for this community band.
I love that.
In a town of maybe 10,000.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, what a cool idea that made sense, literally, 170 years ago, if we could embed that in every city in America. And they do concerts all summer long, every Friday, in the entire township. It's like stepping back in time.
That's incredible, because I would say that that's certainly one of the things that comes to mind in terms of maybe the challenges of music education across the board is funding. It's where do you get money from?
You know what? You get money from wherever. Where do you get money for football helmets?
Yeah.
Where do you get money for stadium lights? Where do you get money for microscopes and school buses? It's the money's there. It's about we have failed to leverage the political will of the community to prioritize it.
Gotcha.
So, and I think that's the one commonality that'd be worth, kind of wrapping this episode up as we visit the world, is that while how we implement is very different, music is universal across every location, every city, every country, every state, every language, but so is the problem of funding it.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so what, in terms of what other communities do right, though, is there something that you could point to? Again, we know that parents are listening, but we know we actually have some music educators who listen as well, like Mandy. Is there ideas that you could pick from? Maybe something you would steal to say, hey, that's a good idea. I think people should adopt that idea.
And by the way, these are gaining steam in America, community ensembles.
Yeah.
When I started teaching, there were none, and now there's probably 6 within 10 miles of me. And they can be everything from folks in nursing homes learning an instrument for the first time to college professors who haven't played in 10 years. In fact, we don't like to talk our own band, but our own band is talking about starting a parent band.
Yes.
And so, by the way, will you be playing in that band, Chris?
So I'm the media person. So, my job is to cover those bands.
Oh, that's a cop out. If you think Chris should be playing in that group,
I'm
you
currently
need
not
to write
signed up. No.
You told me I had to wear dinkles in a park or something.
Which hasn't happened. So I'm not sure how you're holding me accountable for anything right now. But yeah.
But I think that the one thing we can take away, I think what the world could take away from America, if you're into American exceptionalism, is that we've embedded it in a structural and significant way into the lives of every child, period. All 50 states require music for every child starting at kindergarten. So I think that's an incredible takeaway. But I think, when something's free, you value it less. So I think when we provide music and it's so ubiquitously acceptable, it's easy to not think it's worthwhile. And I think what we could take away from the rest of the world is its cultural importance and its multi-generational approach.
Absolutely.
So
that's a good call out. So I have one. I think let's do something fun again, maybe for our music educators out there.
My history of trumpets and key crux was not fun.
It's kind of mercurial, maybe, but
you're using my word.
Hey,
mercurial.
look at me. If we could post a challenge maybe to American band directors to maybe if there's like a particular instrument that that we don't use in our country that's maybe unique to other countries that you think would be funny for them to try and pull out a challenge to use. Name an instrument that maybe we don't use.
An E flat clarinet, E flat. A lot of things are in E flat in Europe, and so the trumpet that you and I would call trumpets in the key of B flat in Europe, it's in the key of E flat.
Why is that? What's the difference there?
I don't know. I honest to God don't know, Chris.
Okay, fair enough. All right,
but it's instruments that are keyed differently, and just as other trivia, Adolfo Sax created the saxophone in 1896,
right?
And he got ripped off by so many people in terms of stealing his ideas. He was penniless upon his death, suing people to try and keep the copyright for the saxophone.
No kidding.
And the saxophone was created by the military to create the sound of a clarinet, but be able to have one musician equal 4 clarinetists. So it was the saxophone was created as a cost-saving measure.
No kidding.
For the military. There, Matt, if that doesn't put you on 1.75 speed, I don't know what will.
I'm so overwhelmed and intrigued by this knowledge. I'm just frozen in thought right now. I don't even know what to do with myself.
Oh my God, he's lying to you folks, but that's okay because he's Chris Flynn and I'm
Scott Lang. Wait,
and we're the
Bandads. I think we lost folks. But again, so thank you everyone for listening to this episode. Again, thank you to all our friends around the world. Again,
can we challenge our friends around the world to fact check us and write in?
I would absolutely love that. Again, we know not everybody's always available when they listen, which is why it took Mandy a while to get back to us. But again, we do have a good amount of folks in Germany, which we talked about.
Mark Falzerano, I know you're listening.
Oh, there you go. So we have listeners in Germany. Germany, if we got anything wrong, feedback at banddadspodcast.com. Let us know. In Japan, Scott made some points that he thinks he knows why about some things, or maybe some assumptions.
Yeah.
So tell us why, Japan.
And please understand, if I've missed something culturally, it's out of my own ignorance, not out of disrespect or whatnot.
So Japan, we would absolutely love to hear from you to see if we got anything right. If we have anybody that has experience with some of those programs in South America, you can let us know there. But I would tell you what, some of the other places that we actually do have some other listeners that maybe we didn't get to today, if you would love to provide us some feedback that we could maybe follow up on in a future episode. We have friends in Norway, Netherlands. We actually did talk about Canada a little bit. We have some Canada listeners.
Soon to be Greenland, since they're becoming America. We're going to have been there.
Soon to be Greenland. Soon to be something, that's for sure. So anyway, we've got a few other places that we
want to take over.
I would love to hear from on our podcast. Feedback at banddadspodcast.com is how you get a hold of us.
Our 53rd state.
If you're angry for anything Scott Lang is saying, you can hold that feedback. I'm not interested in that, but send us your questions, send us your comments, send us your feedback about music education in places outside of the United States. Again, feedback at banddadspodcast.com. There is a fan mail function as well. So again, we've mentioned this before. If you'd like to leave anonymous feedback that we can't follow up on, you can send it to our website via the episode description. There's a link that says send us a text. Click on that. That opens up the messaging app on your phone. And you
Chris,
can send a...
You'll also message. Drop in the 60 Minutes piece into the show notes.
I will find that because I know what you're talking about. I'm sure I can find that. Yes. And maybe we've also found the new spin-off series for ourselves about weird people in music history. So social media, again, find us on all social media platforms. We're there for you. We're going to provide some better entertainment than just, Scott talking about what countries he wants to invade.
Greenland.
Oh my God. Poor Greenland. Hey, shout out to Iceland because
we're coming for you.
No. Scott's new favorite artist that he still has not listened to, our friend Leve, is from Iceland.
Okay.
And Bjork's also from Iceland.
I did know that.
Tons of talented people come out of Iceland.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I don't know what's happening anymore. Maybe we'll just end, yeah?
All right, take care.
All right, thanks for listening, folks. We'll see you next time. To stay up to date with the Band Dads podcast, visit our website, banddadspodcast.com. Want to communicate with the Band Dads? Send an email to feedback@banddadspodcast.com. The Band Dads Podcast is a 5 Deuce Media production. For more information, visit 5deucemedia.com. That's numeral 5deucemedia.com. For more information on Scott Lang leadership and solutions for music education, visit scottlang.net.